Is it time for the Mueller investigation to face an investigation of its own? President Trump's defense lawyer, Rudy Giuliani, says Mueller should be probed to see if he helped destroy evidence after thousands of text messages between Peter Strzok and his FBI paramour Lisa Page went missing. The Department of Justice claims the politically explosive texts went missing due to a technical glitch. Glitchy. Francey Hakes is a former federal prosecutor and former DOJ National Coordinator for Child Exploitation and Prevention, and she joins us. Francey, there's a kind of credibility issue here, because everybody in some little rinky-dink civil suit in the local county court knows that you don't do this kind of stuff. How come the FBI gets away with just vaporizing important evidence from key figures?
Well, that's a great question, Mark. I don't know how they get away with it. And the thing that concerns me the most is that you're talking about text messages that show bias. And as I'm sure you know, every criminal defendant in the courts across this country are entitled to any evidence that shows bias by a witness. And Strzok, certainly, who would have been a witness in this case, in many cases, showed clear bias in his text messages with his lover, Page. It was wrong for the Department of Justice to get rid of these text messages. They were the subject of an OIG investigation already, and it seems to me to be a constitutional violation that they cannot provide these text messages to any current or future defendants.
Well, Peter Strzok is this very weird figure, because there's like 35,000 FBI employees, but somehow this guy is the indispensable guy. He's on the Hillary investigation. He's on the Trump investigation. He gets sent to the White House to stitch up Michael Flynn. He gets flown to London to see Alexander Downer, the Australian High Commissioner, so they can get the goods on Papadopoulos. And then he's sent to the special counsel's office. And according to the OIG's report, it's the special counsel's office that reviewed these cell phones and put them back on factory settings. Isn't that corruption in the special counsel's office?
Well, it certainly seems like it could be, Mark. My concern here is that Bob Mueller was a United States attorney, a presidential appointee. He was the FBI director. He knows better than most people what is relevant to a potential prosecution. And what is relevant is always exculpatory information. Right. And that is what is contained in these text messages. And it is shocking that they deleted them, and it makes you wonder whether it was purposeful.
Yeah, and that phrase you use, exculpatory information, that's actually, prosecutors can be punished for that. Now, nobody seems anxious to punish Bob Mueller, so maybe Giuliani has a point about investigating the investigator. Another thing, Francey, while we have you, a new report claims that President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen, who famously said he had never been to Prague, may have been there in the summer of 2016. According to cell phone tower evidence. And that, as you know, was one of the most explosive allegations in the various Trump details in the Trump dossier. Is this anything real, or is it hearsay upon hearsay?
Well, I think, Mark, you hit upon it. I think it is hearsay upon hearsay. It reminds me of the very Steele dossier that was the source of this information in the first place, that has been unverified. It is still unverified to this day, and relies upon mysterious Russian or Eastern European intelligence sources, the same thing that the FBI and the Department of Justice asked the FISA court to rely upon in the Carter Page FISA warrant. It is not reliable information, and until you show me American surveillance by Americans that prove he was in Prague, I'm not going to believe it.
So you don't see why this MI6 guy, Christopher Steele, a British subject, should be allowed to interfere in the 2016 American election, basically?
I really don't. I think we should leave that to Americans.
Okay, and presumably he wouldn't actually, if Cohen had been in Prague. He's now copped a plea with Mueller and the rest of the guys. He would presumably have no incentive not to disclose that. So if he had been there, the investigation would know it, wouldn't they?
Well, they would. And in fact, he has made no secret of his newfound hatred for President Trump and his evil ways, as I think he put it. And so I think if he was in Prague and it was part of some vast conspiracy by the president to collude with Russia to throw the election, I think he'd be on Twitter talking about it right now.
Yeah, he does seem to be relatively leaky about that. Are we anywhere near a wrap-up of this investigation?
Well, of course, rumors say that Mueller will put out a report in February. It's long overdue, in my opinion. This investigation has been going on now for well over 2 years. I can't imagine what it is they're doing now. I look forward to seeing the report. But I think at this point, he's just justifying the millions of dollars that he's been spending.
Okay, well, he's been spending millions of dollars resetting iPhones to factory settings. It looks like they've been doing a bit of that anyway. Francey, thank you for explaining all that to us.